My name is Priya Dewan, and I am the founder and CEO of Gig Life Pro. Gig Life Pro is a platform built for music industry creatives and professionals who want to grow a global business through networking, content, and events. I have been attending Primavera for over a decade, so I'm really excited to be here moderating a panel this year. I have also known our two panelists for over a decade, and with Indonesia and Thailand being two of Asia's most exciting markets, we are very excited to have both Ki and Sarah joining us. I think the best way to begin our introduction to Southeast Asia is really by having our panelists introduce themselves. Like I said, I've known both of you for over a decade, and in that time, I've watched you both do a plethora of things. So Sarah, starting with you, can you please introduce yourself? How did you start your career in the music industry? And what did the scene look like then?
20 years ago, 15 years ago, I guess. Hi, I'm Sarah. I think, I took a psychology major, but it wasn't for me. So then I took music production, live sound production, music business, and then I worked in a radio station for about 10 years. I worked for MTV Asia for a bit.
Based in Jakarta.
In Indonesia, yeah. And then I just basically like to go to shows and then concerts and festivals around the world on my own, and then trying to witness all these bands that I really like or maybe I need to discover. And then from then on, I've been helping out with I've been helping out. I helped out the promoters in Indonesia, and then until I got into one. When was that? 13 years ago?
I think so. Yeah, about 12 years ago. Yeah. Can you describe, so Ismaya, right? Ismaya was the company that you joined.
Yeah.
One of the largest, most active promoters in Indonesia over the last decade.
Yeah.
So what was the scene like, the live scene like?
Back then, we only did indie festivals, but we weren't making any money. It was sort of boutique, 5,000 capacity and all that. So then after doing that for 5 years, and then we just stopped with that festival. We do mostly headline shows, but we brought One Direction once, Katy Perry, but mostly pop artists until 2014. Yeah, and then we created Vita Fest, a multi-genre, all ages type of festival. So we're on to our 10th year edition this year.
Oh, how exciting!
This July. So in a month, basically.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
And popping over to Thailand for a minute, Ki, you're quite a pioneer for the independent music scene in Thailand. I think, again, also about 12 years ago, you started inviting international artists to perform there. Can you describe what the Thai music landscape was like back then?
12 years ago, there were mostly major promoters, so no one was really doing any, smaller headline acts that are not in arena. And then my friends and I were talking and all these bands are coming to play, but no one's booking them, the ones we actually wanted to see. So we're
playing in other markets in the region, but just not to Thailand.
Yeah,
right?
So we're okay, let's just do it ourselves, and that's how we started. Yeah, but now, 12, 13 years later, there's so many new promoters now, and the market is quite competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everybody is announcing that they're launching a version of their festival in Thailand, from Rolling Loud to Summer Sonic to Tomorrowland, any genre even, right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of people think mostly just of Bangkok for Thailand. But what I discovered in going to Thailand the last couple of years is that, I look at some of my Thai artist friends, and they're playing 20 shows in 1 month, all in Thailand. And they're playing all over the country. So besides Bangkok, what are some of the other markets in Thailand that people should be aware of or that are doing really great festivals and events?
Yes, so for more like electronic acts, I would say Samui and Phuket. They're booking a lot of international DJs and electronic acts now. For more indie acts, so there are more venues in Chiang Mai and Khon Kaen. Yeah, so that's one of the cities that we're looking to expanding our shows to.
Oh, you're thinking of expanding it outside of Bangkok to one of those markets?
Yeah.
Oh, very exciting.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned that there's different genres do different things in different cities. First of all, describe Rasop a little bit, because now you run one of the coolest festivals in the region, and it's grown significantly over the last few years. So tell us a little bit more about your festival.
Yeah, so we co-founded Maho with two other promoters. So one focusing on local artists, another one Asian artists, and as have you heard, we focus on international acts, and our focus is on indie, like upcoming. We try to like introduce new artists to the Thai fans and people who live in Thailand. And we also have Boiler Room Stage, so it's kind of like a merge between alternative indie music and club music in one festival. So we try to have everything for everyone in the festival.
And I also found that the audience was also very unique for a festival in Thailand. Can you describe a bit about your audience?
Yeah, we actually look up to Primavera. So I think audience-wise, a lot of our audience, they're very open-minded. They want to discover new music, new experience, and they come to Maho maybe not knowing every single act on the lineup, but they come and enjoy new music.
No, that's so great. That's exactly the kind of audience you want to have when you're entering a new market, I think, right?
Yeah.
And Sarah, I haven't been back to Indonesia except for Bali, which doesn't really count, in a couple of years now, but I have been meeting my Indonesian peers in other conferences and festivals a lot this year. And one thing that I've been reminded of also is Indonesia is more than Jakarta and Bali.
Yeah.
And tell us more. I mean, what are some of the other markets that people should have on their radar? What are some characteristics, similarly, like what genres work well?
Well, it's a big country.
Yes.
Like, plenty of islands. So, like, basically you get, I think over the past 2 years, there've been bands, like international acts, actually not do Asia tour, but Indonesia tour. So you can just like go to like this venue in this island, and then
really, how many dates is that?
Well, there was like this UK band called Fur. They just did an Indonesian tour. I think they did like 6, 7 cities. So that's like Jakarta, and then Bali, and then there's Bandung, which is only like 3 hours away from Jakarta, but like another like more like niche market in Bandung, and then like Surabaya, Yogyakarta. So like you can actually do like an Indonesian tour, like for like an international. Yeah, I mean like that's why. I mean sometimes we also like share acts to like other cities as well. So we used to have a sister festival in Bali. We used to hold it at Potato Head, Bali. It's called Sunny Side Up. We had that for like 3-4 years, I guess. So it's good times.
It was a very good festival, yes.
Yeah, like more boutique, like 3,000 capacity. But it was it was always nice when we try to like do the whole touring, the whole routing. We can always, like sell artists to like promoters in Surabaya, in Bali, and Jogja, so they could like stay longer, basically.
That's very exciting to hear that the infrastructure has expanded to that.
Because I think it's the most convenient thing. I mean, like those guys from Coachella, they made it like 2 weeks because of like you play 1 week and then you go, around the States, and then you go back for week 2.
Yeah.
So.
To justify the cost, because I think for a lot of people who want to come to Asia, a big issue is really getting there, like the cost of getting there. So as many shows that you can do within the market to kind of spread out the cost is much more convenient.
Yeah,
So
you can
that's
actually
really
like
great.
spend a month in Asia, like Bangkok, Singapore, Malaysia.
Very cool. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Because Indonesia at 400 million people, like they're not going to all be in one city, right?
Yeah.
Like, and now, I mean, I think most people know one thing about Asia is how very connected we are,
Yeah.
digitally connected, and how digitally social we are. And Sarah, you mentioned you worked at a radio, but you also label and manage artists, and so I think for a lot of people, they get excited that Jakarta is in like their top 10 Spotify market.
Yeah.
But the reality is that Jakarta is one of Spotify's top 10 markets
Yeah, it's
globally.
always-
So
yeah.
for most people, it makes sense that it would be. But what are some things that people can do proactively to promote to an Indonesian audience? Like what platforms, or are there people they can hire to do marketing? Like what works really well in the market?
Yeah, well, that's actually like also the thing that I'm trying to discover, especially after the pandemic, and like like with how things work. Like back then, we would just like discover bands through like showcase festivals like this. And I mean, like with Pro, and then like all those like South by, and then all those showcase festivals around the world, basically. But now I guess because of the pandemic, I guess I've just been like following, Spotify playlists from like artists, or just like, the more curated ones, and then trying to, like hit them up on Instagram. And
Oh,
then-
wow.
Yeah, I mean, like I do things like that organically.
Yeah, GM artist.
DM artists. I think you have like good music. We have these festivals, and then trying to make things work. But also, we work closely with, let's say, like the government as well. So maybe trying to make it like a G2G kind of thing.
Oh,
Like-
really?
Like a artist exchange. Like speaking in a panel, you can bring like one Indonesian band, but can we have a slot in your festival for like the band from our country? So
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
a
like-
really interesting opportunity, and I think a really creative way for people
yeah,
who host events in other markets
Yeah.
to exchange artists.
yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, now discovering new music, yeah, probably just. I'm a bit rusty in a way. I mean, I used to work in a radio station, so it handed to me.
Yes.
But like right now, it's just like I've just been like following, like really interesting Spotify playlist.
Yeah,
and-
curated Spotify third-party
yeah.
playlist. That's
Yeah.
great. And then, I mean, the other thing is like, Indonesia is all about like covers and all about celebrating people's music, right? I
Yeah.
feel like engaging with fans in that way, the
Yeah.
Indonesian fans, and knowing how much they love collaborating with their favorite
Yeah.
artists
Yeah.
and making your content available.
Yeah.
You find people doing
Yeah.
a lot more of that sort of thing, like marketing specifically.
Yeah. I mean, like that's. I think one of the things that I've been trying to do as well this year is sort of like collaborating like music and with like other form of arts. So like let's say Indonesian band, but they would work with, let's say, like a director from like the UK.
Oh.
And so it's more of like the multidisciplinary kind of thing. Make the content more interesting in a way.
That makes sense, because a lot of times, when you're trying to market into a new market, they're looking for a tie. So
Yeah.
if you're trying to or vice versa, right? If you're trying
Yeah.
to promote into Indonesia, you could perhaps get a music video directed by an
Yeah.
Indonesian director.
Yeah, like do like a scoring, like
Yeah,
basically
how
what Tom York did
interesting.
with like Blue Planet and all that.
Yeah, very good, very cool.
Hopefully.
Yes. And I'd say like it's pretty common for promoters in Asia, at least historically, to provide some PR and marketing services when they're inviting international artists. And now there are more PR and marketing service companies in Southeast Asia. But an interesting thing is that none that I have met actually promote in Thailand. Like Thailand seems to be carved out of everybody's sort of like promoting into Southeast Asia. And Ki, you also worked for Believe for a while, right?
Yeah.
So like it was a big part of what you did. So can you explain to us why it's so difficult to do PR and marketing in Thailand, or how to do it,
I think for the bands we promote, it's usually smaller, like niche music media, like Facebook pages, like music blogs, that people follow to discover new music now. So whenever I do a show, I always try to get them to do some interviews with the local media ahead of time, and then get their interview translated, because not every Thai person, like, their English isn't that good. Yeah. So it would help to get some interviews translated ahead of time so people get to know them better. Another way to promote, I would suggest to have a really good live performance videos online, because our audience, they love like live music, right? So sometimes they would want to see like, how do they perform live, and then look it up online. Yeah.
Very different, right?
Yeah.
And actually similar to what Sarah was saying, how do you discover music? Seeing an artist perform live before you book them is ideal, right?
Yeah.
So that could be actually a good way also, right, for people to submit their interest to you if they're not able to play a showcase conference that you're attending, right?
Yeah.
And what about, because I mean, obviously, like, a lot of artists in Thailand are also creators, right? Like they're like multifaceted, and also like own a lot of great brands and like do a lot of stuff. So what is the kind of like ideal promotional strategy or opportunities that Thai artists are using that you think international artists could perhaps do also?
So they're very active online. They put out a lot of social media content and try to engage with their fans. I think a lot of them are very approachable. So their fans feel like a sense of connection with them. Yeah.
Like a lot of BTS content, like very organic,
Yeah.
natural. And is there any platforms in particular that you feel like everybody's on right now?
Obviously, TikTok for the younger generation, and Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, IG, and is Facebook still quite active in Thailand, or not as much?
Not as much. Yeah.
Okay, except for the groups.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And Indonesia, similar?
Yeah.
But I feel like Indonesia has their own platforms. Like, you guys have always kind of gone a little bit off the mainstream trajectory, or you use Instagram and Facebook in very different ways.
Yeah. Well, we still use X as well, like Twitter.
Yes.
But TikTok is like super big. But like, it's, I don't know. It's kind of like, so this one song goes viral on TikTok, but they also have this sound on platform thing.
Yes, their
TikTok
distribution
music.
arm.
Yeah. So it's just like maybe the bit sort of like different with the ones in Instagram. So we're always kind of like, so which one?
I think that's often like a big issue with the virality of things, right? Like, because a track has gone viral on a platform does not necessarily mean that people are associating that track with a specific artist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
that
yeah.
they are interested in watching that artist perform that track live. Right? So I think it can be a bit misleading for you promoters to just go off of like the digital.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
presence.
I think like with We the Fest, it's more like younger generation, like pop culture kind of like festival, and then we've been like trying. I mean, like we've been getting like messages, like comments on Instagram saying that we've just been booking like TikTok artists.
Oh no.
And we're like, yeah, well, what?
Isn't that what you want? I know, right?
You're still gonna be there.
I know,
like,
right?
create content. But like, yeah, that's the thing though. With like Indonesia, they're like so big on social media. They're just like very, very, very loud. So we've been working closely with Meta.
Oh,
with
great.
Instagram, and then creating sort of like a neutral campaign. So then people are nicer in social media. I guess, I mean, like towards festival in Indonesia, it's just like sometimes the comments could be like super harsh. To
Well,
like,
that's good to know, though. It's good to know so people who are coming into that market can develop a bit of a thicker skin,
yeah.
and know that
don't
this
re-
is normal.
Don't read the comments.
Okay.
I mean, like, like even like the international acts, like big ones that we book, and then like the agents and like their managements are like emailing us about like what's the deal with the comments, why so much hatred and all that. And so we're like, yeah, that happens a lot in Indonesia.
Wow. Is Thailand similar, Keith? I
Um,
mean, I guess like it's also Google Translate doesn't do Thai very well.
Yeah.
So it's hard
Terrible.
to translate the comments, so you don't know.
yeah, there's some, but I would say Thai fans are very sensitive in terms of like what happens at the show, like how come the wait is so long, how come we didn't get a meet and greet with the artists, and they always, yeah.
Complaining
leave that.
generation.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
like to complain in social media. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like, yeah,
That's a universal use of it,
Yeah.
I think.
yeah.
And we were talking the last couple of days as well, as like, you speak at a lot of these panels and conferences about trying to be proactive, and then you invite an artist over and you give them a list of things to do, and they don't do it. So if if an artist gets booked, let's start with Thailand and then in Indonesia, what are like the 3 must things they need to do to make the most of that booking?
Yeah, I would say one, have a really good press pack. A good artist bio, good press shots. Some video assets so the promoters or the media can use to help promote your show. And second, I would say, like I said before, like agree to do some interview with the local media, and of course post some social media content ahead of time to, engage with your fans in Thailand.
And how important is like localization? Should they try to say hello or try to get it translated? Or?
Yeah, definitely, but don't use Google Translate for Thailand. Yeah.
Yeah, see if you have any Thai friends who can do it for you, or ask Keith and she'll help.
Yeah,
She'll be happy to
I'll
help
you.
Sarah, what about you for Indonesia? What are the top 3 things you recommend people do?
Know the promoter that you want to work with. Just like DM them consistently. I read my DMs. And then, yeah, I guess for me, create like a really good live session on YouTube. And then I think that would be, like something that, to look at. And then basically, like with like We the Fest, I have this other festival. It's a dance music festival called Jakarta West Project. But like we always have like this sort of like like with We the Fest, the name is Submit Your Music. So you can basically submit your music, and then we work like with this like media outlet in Indonesia, and then you can submit your music, and then we would like curate it like year by year.
Oh, so you choose artists who just...
So basically why I created Submit Your Music at the first place is because like it was, I think, 2nd, 3rd edition of We the Fest, and I had like 3 slots left, and then tons of like good bands, and I just didn't know who to choose. So you can just like submit your music, submit your friends' music, and then, it takes a long time to basically listen to all of it.
Yeah.
But now, I guess this past couple of years, we've been telling them to submit the live station. So like it's easier for us to,
Yes.
to see.
Yeah.
I see.
So I mean, like we've been doing that locally, but we are planning to do that like internationally, like globally, so people can just like submit their music through the platform.
Wow,
And
very
then
cool.
we do that as well with Jakarta West Project, because we always like seeking for like new producers and all that. Like it's called DJ Hunt, but like it's more of like producers and stuff like that. But yeah, hopefully, I mean, it can work globally as well, so people can just like submit their music through like this outlet and the media outlets, so they get like both coverages.
Very cool. I mean,
So hopefully,
the other, I mean, like you said, there's so much amazing local talent now in Indonesia, and I'm starting to see more of it in the different festivals and events. And similarly, Thailand, like, if you had asked me 10 years ago which market in Southeast Asia was going to produce the most amount of like regional and globally successful like touring artists, I would not have guessed Thailand or Indonesia because of the language barrier,
Yeah.
to be honest. So with knowing that, with that in mind, Thai artists are really keen to go global, right? So how can international artists leverage that and take advantage of that?
Yeah, I would say collaborations. Like Poom Vipurit, who's very successful, with touring globally. He's done some collaborations with international artists, and yeah, even some smaller indie artists also do lots of collaborations, and that give them the opportunity to go tour in the region. Yeah, so I would say collaborations.
Yeah, the live collaboration is also an interesting one, right? Like, come support me in my market and invite me to support you in yours. I feel like Indonesians are a little bit more closed in their community, like within Indonesia. What are some advice you have for people who want to tap into that creative community?
Yeah, that's the thing with Indonesia though. Like there are plenty of genres, and they are, they sort of just like gang up, and then like
It's really not as aggressive as Sarah's making it.
Not a good example.
Sound.
Not a good example. It could get messy, but then like because there's this band that I work closely with. The name of the band is Ali. They're really good. They're actually touring European right now. I think they're in Milan today, like Brighton tomorrow, London, and then back to the Europe. They're playing Best Kept Secret and all that. Because I guess whenever they have an Australian agent, they have a European agent as well, and then I guess it's how their music also get around and then got discovered like by people. But that's the thing though, like in Indonesia, we're constantly trying to grasp what type of genre that would make it in like globally, like Ali, they're more like Ruang Bin Tame Impala type of music. So, and then mostly like instrumental. So it's, like when I got them to play Fuji Rock this year, I wonder like they should play like the Field of Heaven stage, at Fuji Rock. That's why like I pushed them to play there. And then like, that's the thing. Like there are plenty of like really great Indonesian bands, like rock bands and all that. But we're actually unsure whether that's the trend globally. So we kind of have to like sort of like grasp the market, and then go to like showcase festivals around Asia first.
It's so interesting, Sarah, that you mentioned that you actually identified which stage at Fuji Rock you wanted to submit your artist to, and I feel like that's a really good lesson as well for anybody wanting to play at your festivals. Just look at the lineups from the last few years of the festivals performing. Isn't that super impressive if somebody came to you and said, oh, I know from the last year this artist that's similar to us performed. Would you not be more keen to check them out, right? So
it's like when we created the stages, it has like this
a theme.
So then, when people come up to me and then, Sarah, I want to play the stage, like, because it's more intimate, I have a concept, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, I would appreciate that more.
Yeah.
So, because, like, over the years, we like to grow, with the artists. Like, from, like, as a festival, from, like, 8,000 capacity to, like, 80,000 capacity. And then it's just, like, we sometimes book, the same artists year by year. But that's the thing though, because like we have the same passion, like creating a really nice live show concept. They would just like build their own freaking installations, like.
I mean, I think for both of you, you have both been to so many international festivals and events like this, and you're inspired by that. And I can really tell when I
Yeah, yeah.
attend your guys' festivals, the amount of care and passion you put into not just the audio production, but also the visual and experiential side
Yeah.
of it, from like how you curate your food vendors to your other kind of vendors is really impressive. And we've talked a little bit about this, but I want to emphasize this more because both Indonesia and Thailand, the number of events has just quadrupled over the years. I mean, more than that. I mean, the number of promoters also has quadrupled. And I think, Asia still has a lot of that kind of like wild, wild east misconception about it, because there's a lot of young promoters who have a lot of money, but maybe not a lot of experience, right? So like, but at the same time, on the flip side, there's a lot of young promoters who are doing really good things, and a lot of like people who have been around for a long time who continue to do not great things. So what is some advice for how to vet new partners in your market? So Ki, you can start with Thailand. Like, where do you go to find the right people?
The right people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would try to reach out to some promoters and get to know them, and then try to be supportive. We promote their shows, and they sometimes help promote our shows as well. And we try to keep a friendly working environment and not step on each other's toe. And just because our industry is tough, on its own already. So I think it's always nice to be as supportive to each other as possible.
So who are some of the more established promoters, like the brands that people might hear from, who they should be like, okay, yes, these guys are legitimate?
Okay, so in Thailand, I would say VG Corp. They've been around for some time. For international artists, VG Corp.
They do Palupo Festival and
Palupo.
and headline shows also.
Us.
You guys, I know. I'm trying to think of independent, up and coming, sort of indie artists.
For the smaller artists,
And there's Wonder Fruit as well, right?
Yeah,
Which
Wonder
is
Fruit.
more of like a tastemaker, very niche, Burning Man-esque festival. And then a ton of EDM festivals. That's all I can think of, right? And what about in Indonesia? Because there's, again, a lot of events. What are some of the flagship events that you recommend people kind of connecting with first? Besides Be the Fest in Jakarta, Project.
Yeah. Well, we try to keep it friendly vibe between one promoter to the other. And then so we would just basically, because there, after the pandemic, and then we could only do, I think, September. It was sort of the first part of pandemic, and then
When your festival got pushed from.
because it's always been July, but then it was 2022 was in September. And then around the same weekend was another huge festival as well, which also held by my friend, my good friend. So we're all why are we not communicating this?
Yeah.
And then since then on, I guess it's just we have a group together, and then we just okay, I do July, you're gonna do August, you do September, you do October, you do November. And then sometimes it's just there's this one festival called Joyland around Maho Rasop time, so they share acts. So and then but the promoter from Joyland, we share this sort of the same taste of music as well, but he, his is in November, mine is July, so we're all are you getting this artist? No, it's
if they're not touring that time of year, they're not touring that time of year, right?
Yeah. And then I guess it's it should be healthy, because in Indonesia, I think that's one of the main thing that I want to aim, like, for Indonesia to have, more festivals around the year. So then, it's easier for us to also book artists.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so.
And you made a really good point about Joyland being around Maho Rasop, and like there's definitely seasons of festivals in Asia, right? You've got kind of like your March burst.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
actually June, July for us is pretty chill, which
Yeah.
allows us to come
Yeah.
to Europe and attend these kind of events. And then it kind of starts picking up again, I would say, November, December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of the markets, okay, Key, we'll start with you, some of the markets that you work very closely with, and some of the events that, you recommend to artists who are coming to play your event?
Yeah, so throughout the year, I always work with promoters in Jakarta, Singapore, and a few other countries, and then it makes routing a tour easier. The end of the year, we have Maho Rasop, so we always share acts with Joyland and Clock and Flap.
In Hong Kong, yeah.
Yeah,
That's a big one.
yeah, a big one, yeah.
Very cool. And what about you? Sam?
Yeah, we share acts with Good Vibes
In Malaysia?
in Malaysia. It's the same weekend, and usually Splendor in the Grass as well from Australia. It's also around the same weekend, but like it was pretty tricky when we also had Sunny Side Up, so like 4 festivals in one weekend.
Yes.
But like Sunny Side Up more like DJs and all that, so it's possible to like share acts like DJ acts from Splendor in the Grass, while with like bands we would share with Good Vibes, and
Yeah.
then with Fuji Rock, that's that's happening a week after our festival. So then they would also, we would also offer like Singapore as well to play for the artists to play like a headline show in like weekdays.
Yeah, I think, the main thing I think as well to highlight is really how you have to fly to every place in Asia, pretty much,
Yeah.
right? APAC, because Australia is as well included in that.
Yeah.
And depending on what type of artist you are, if you are a band with bespoke gear that needs to be freighted from place to place, it can really impact
Yeah.
the number of festivals you can play in one weekend, or the number of gigs you can play
Yeah.
in one weekend, right? Because
Yeah.
even like KL and Jakarta,
Yeah.
not too far, but it is still an airplane ride away.
Yeah. An hour.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think when people are considering Asia, I guess the main thing is to have enough time, knowing that you're going to have to have like a travel day
Yeah.
in between. And to your point, like when you're exploring markets like Indonesia and Thailand, try to look beyond just the major market, even if you play like a small 300 cap room in another city, right? Is that stuff that you guys are starting to build out as well, Key, in Thailand, is opportunities to perform?
Yeah, so we try to bring over different genres of artists, and also different scale. So we do from like 200-300 capacity show to 3,000 capacity headlight show. So yeah, try to bring over like all kinds of artists.
That's so great. In Singapore, we don't have any venues that are like 200-300 capacity. I think we all travel to Bangkok and Jakarta to see shows like that. And Indonesia as well. I feel like your venues as well, you've got like a really strong live
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah, like the venues are there. It's just like it's booked like all year long for like some other events other than music.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like they're Jakarta is just like super hectic and super busy, and then let's say we had like this artist that we really want to get, and then they're actually available, but then there's no venue, so we couldn't do it.
Oh my God.
It's because, let's say, at the venue, they have like this badminton competition for like a month, and then they have like exhibitions about like wedding exhibitions. Like it's it's the same venues as the ones we use for concerts. So it's just
So basically, like for your festival, you book that venue
Yeah.
years in advance.
Yeah,
Basically, you book
for
it out for like
the next 3 years.
for the next 3 years. So that's actually a good kind of thing to point out, but what is your lead time generally for booking your festival or booking headline shows? How far in advance are you reaching out to agents?
For the festival, it's like a year in advance
Yeah.
now. But headline shows say at least 3 months in advance because we need to process work permit and visa. So we need at least 3 months.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, right? Because I feel like I get agent friends reaching out to me about a show offer that's like a month away in Southeast Asia, and I'm always like, how would you even do this?
Yeah.
Like, do you even have enough
did,
time?
Did glass animals, like announced like a month before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like.
Are you able to process visas and everything like that with such a short lead time? You can.
Yeah.
But
like, you know what?
promotional wise.
But like with ticketing, it gets pretty hard, because you'll need time to
Sell the
basically
tickets.
promote. Yeah.
Yes, to promote the shows.
Yeah.
You're not coming into a market with like a sold out audience ahead of you.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I would say, I mean, of all of the artists recently who have come in and kind of built organically, can you give an example of an international artist you think has done it really well? Like, for example, I saw in Singapore, like the XX, who came like very early on and played very small shows, and then were playing like Singapore Indoor Stadium, like bigger shows than I'd ever seen them play elsewhere. So what is one or two examples of international artists who's done that in Thailand really well?
In the Thai market, one would be Prep. So I think their first show in Bangkok was 300 capacity show, and then they come back almost every year, and I think now they do 2 sold out 4,000 capacity shows, like back to back. Yeah, another band would be Han from the
Yes,
UK.
definitely. They've done a very good job in Asia.
Yeah, so we did their first show, and originally we planned to do it at like 200-300 capacity like venue as well, and then it sold out in like 5 minutes, and then it turned into a 1,000 capacity show, and now I think they do like 5,000 in capacity, and they
Like
come
multiple
back.
dates,
Yeah.
basically, of 5K shows.
Yeah.
And, those are two really great examples because I'd say both of those artists were very good about creating localized content,
Yeah.
right? Like they do really good video blogs on Reels. They do like, like city by city kind of thing. They also, Haneda also had like branded content. Like they did it really, really well. They had Singapore Airlines sponsor their whole like flight routing around the region in exchange for social content, That's really good examples, Ki. Sarah, what about you? What are some artists that have done really well in Indonesia?
Probably Han as well.
Yeah.
We brought them 3 times already, and then they came back with like another promoter, I guess, while maybe like the fee is like skyrocketed.
It happened. No hard feelings.
Yeah. So I'm like, not this time.
Yes.
So I think they're in Indonesia a lot, like 6 times already.
Yeah.
And those acts like Han, and then Love.
Love is another one.
Yeah, Lainey.
Lainey,
Yeah, but like I think the ones that are consistently just like good whenever they're in Indonesia, whoever the promoter is, would be Phoenix and I would say Kings of Convenience.
Yeah, I feel like Kings of Convenience, Asia's been a very strong market for them for like over a decade.
Yeah. Since like 2010, I guess, their first show.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like whenever they're around, they would just like stay for a week and then meet the local bands, collaborate with them, and then just like hang around, like the promoter's house. So we're all like basically like with like Erland and then Eric and then just like like the whole gang together. So they're nice people and all that, and it's always fun to bring them back.
That
Like
is
it's
such a
sold
good
out
point.
every time.
Yeah, it's such a good point, actually, because these markets are quite affordable to stay in,
Yeah.
right? Like Thailand and Indonesia, if you have a show opportunity there,
Yeah.
if you're not in a rush to go elsewhere, it's
Yeah.
a really great idea to spend some time there. And both of these markets have really incredible studios also, right? Like in Bali, the amount of recording studios that have popped up.
Yeah. James Blake stayed for like a week to record things and then to like basically, write more songs when he's like in Ubud in Bali.
And Grammy award-winning producers and mix engineers and everything is available now in Indonesia and in Thailand, right? So I think a good suggestion, I guess, as well is don't look at this as like an in and out market situation, but really like how do you build a plan to invest time and energy into being in that market.
Yeah.
They're also really fun places to go visit at any time. So I believe we've got some time for questions, audience questions. I thought that was really insightful. I actually learned a lot, even though like I know your festivals very well. I did learn quite a bit about each of these markets. Do we have any questions from the audience about Indonesia or Thailand or other parts of Southeast Asia? Any other areas in which we did not explore that you would like us to touch on? More about marketing or venues or genres? Okay. All right. One last question, I guess, then for both of you would be, if they were to attend any event in Asia to meet the most amount of music industry professionals, what would that be? Like, what's your favorite event to attend to meet like other promoters and music industry people?
So in Bangkok, we have Bangkok Music City. So it's a showcase conference event. So I would say that would be a good one.
Nice.
Yeah. We have none.
Okay, how about not? But Fuji Rock.
Yeah.
Fuji
Rock
Rock is a
in
great
Asia.
one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Fuji Rock
in
is
Asia.
great. Yeah.
In Asia.
Yeah,
So
in
outside,
Asia,
it doesn't have to be in Indonesia.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, we'll have one in Indonesia.
One day. It's going to be the fest.
It's gonna be yes, next year. But like, yeah, we'll have this like accent conference in last year it was in Singapore.
Yes.
This year it's gonna be in Bali.
Yeah.
So it's the whole, Asian promoter sort of like coming together and then just like invite like
Different regional artists, mostly regional artists perform, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but like other than that, I think Fuji is actually one of my favorite festivals.
Yeah.
After Primavera. So then, Fuji would be good.
I would say Fuji Rock is a great one in Japan. A lot of promoters from all over Southeast Asia love to go and check out artists performing there, and it's a great place to bump into promoter friends from the Philippines, even from Greater China, Korea. They're all kind of at Fuji Rock. Another really great one also that I think we all maybe used to attend pre-pandemic was Clock and Flap.
Yeah.
Right, like you mentioned that one. It's hard for you to attend because it's the same weekend as your festival key, but Clock and Flap is another great one in Hong Kong for promoters. That one's also like more of the mainstream promoters, I would say, like a lot of the global, like now they're owned by Live Nation, so.
Yeah.
And then also in Thailand, Wonderfruit.
Yeah, wonderful.
I feel like a lot of my Asian, especially niche electronic promoter friends go to Wonderfruit. That said, they don't really go there to work. So maybe not the best environment to meet them. Very cool. Lovely. Well, thank you both so much for giving your insights about Southeast Asia, and thank you all very much for your attention today. We will be around all afternoon, around the conference, around the festival, so please do not hesitate to come and say hi to us if you have any other questions. Thanks.
All right.
Have a great day.
Thank you.